Hello everyone, I'm Vivi and welcome back. Kingdom Hearts Missing Link got a brand new trailer on October 30th at around 2 AM Eastern Time. Missing Link, if you're not too familiar with the title, is another upcoming Kingdom Hearts mobile game coming in 2024 for iOS and Android. This game was first announced during the series' 20th anniversary, right before the trailer for Kingdom Hearts 4 back in April 2022. As for any other teasers before this brand new teaser trailer, we have Twitter to look at. In December 2022, the Japanese PR account for Dark Road shared this picture, which seems to look like the symbol on this building in Scala at Kylum. As for this image with coming soon, this was shared on the official Japanese website in July 2023. If you've ever come across this one, this was shared later on. Now, a couple days before this new trailer, we got a couple more illustrations with hashtag Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. By the way, all previous official Kingdom Hearts Union Cross accounts on Twitter have been rebranded to Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. Just thought I'd throw it out there. As I was saying, one of the accounts shared this on the 23rd of October along with a new banner. As for the North American account, we got this same image on the 26th. Speaking of the 26th, the Japanese account shared another image with the same hashtag, along with an official statement from series director Tetsuya Nomura. According to the translation found on KH Insider, Nomura mentioned how it had been a long time since he had mentioned anything about Kingdom Hearts, and told the community to expect more info next week. More info turned out to be this new trailer. He also corrected himself by adding, "Also in the previous prototype test, I said that it was about 50% of the service, but I would like to correct that last time, it was about 30%. If you recall, during the 20th anniversary of the series, a closed beta was planned for 2022. Turns out this closed beta was for synchronization verification purposes only and limited to Japan. Nomura stated this back in December 2022 if you're ever curious. You can find a translated version of this tweet by KH13's Ryuji. The image we talked about before, the one which looks like this symbol in Scala, it was tied to this exact tweet right here. In terms of statements regarding this new trailer, you can find a translation on KH Insider. Reading the second part of the statement, this video is only a brief introduction, but the narration has been changed to Brains since the initial announcement, and the content shown is how it will appear in the final game. So there you have it. The character narrating during the trailer is none other than Brain, who we see briefly at the end of the trailer. The part about this being a different narrator than the announcement trailer, we'll talk about that later on in the video. Before we discuss the new trailer itself, let's go over a few details for this latest upcoming closed beta. Looking at both social media accounts, it seems that the closed beta is limited to just a few select territories: Australia, UK, and Japan. Testers are currently being recruited until November 19th. iOS testing begins on the 29th of November until December 8th. For Android, closed beta is planned for January 2024. Now on their official website, looking at the first question in their FAQ section, it mentions the GPS feature the game will have. The location information is used to display the player's current position and map in-game. Please note that the player will only be able to play the game by allowing access to location information when using the app. Now this answer pertains to the closed beta at least. As for the game at launch, the extent of this GPS feature is not yet clear. The trailer itself does state that this game is GPS action RPG, but that's the extent of it for now. The trailer itself mentions how you travel the world without stepping outside, so yeah, we're not yet sure as to how this whole location-based system works. There's one question which is interesting among this list: the fact that Missing Link will have controller support. The closed beta test version is compatible with the following controllers, gamepads. Please note that this may be subject to change for the live version of the game at launch. PS4 wireless controller, PS5 DualSense wireless controller, Xbox wireless controller. If you want to know more about these frequently asked questions, I'll leave a link in the description box below. So, with that said, let's dive into the trailer itself. First thing, we wonder about the narrator. As briefly mentioned before, the one talking mostly throughout this trailer is none other than Brain. Again, this is what Nomura confirmed when the trailer dropped. About the initial announcement he's referring to in his statement, I believe he's talking about the 20th anniversary clip we had back in April 2022. That was when Missing Link was first revealed. We had Sigurd as the narrator. If you recall, Sigurd is the one who finds Brain in Scala. If this scene doesn't look familiar to you, this was during Union Cross's finale. Now, did Nomura outright confirm Sigurd being the narrator during the first reveal? Not exactly. During the series' 20th anniversary, Nomura wrote a message with a secret hidden within it. A certain user on KH13 was able to solve it. Turns out, the voice's identity was Sigurd, with notes saying to pay close attention. As for why the narrator switched from Sigurd to Brain is not clear. Nomura didn't really specify. Now, as for our main character, we know who it is. Just like the previous mobile iteration, we look at our character as the player we control. From a lore perspective, we as the player will in the future become Xehanort's caretaker. Looking back at Dark Road's post-credits scene, the blue-robed figure is us. And how do we know this? With Xehanort having the ability to sense what's in the hearts of others, he was able to dream about his caretaker's past. All these people toddler Xehanort was describing in this scene, well, they were our friends, players' friends. Among these friends was Brain who now resides in Scala. But wait, didn't Player pretty much die in Union Cross, trapping darknesses and data? Well, about that. As explained here by Blue Robe Guy or Player, he had 2 lifetimes. The first one would be Union Cross, second would be this character right here, the one we get to control in Missing Link. Looking at Player's Station of Awakening in this new trailer, 2 of his past friends are shown among the foretellers, Skald and Ephemer. Ephemer being the founder of Scala, what Sigurd revealed in Union Cross's finale. There was a Q&A back in August 2022. This was during Dark Road's final update. Regarding the Blue Robe Guy's identity, Nomura explained, it's the player. Or, to be more specific, it's the vessel where the player's heart has started its 2nd lifetime on. Therefore, whenever someone disappears, it's not that they're entirely gone, rather, their heart has melted into another person. As for the rusty Starlight Keyblade, if not for his scientific approach, the whole process of actual rust, then it could signify the player's essence missing from it for some time. It could also be in line with Xehanort's remark of lifeless keys at the Keyblade graveyard in Birth by Sleep, how they used to be full of power. As for other things, if you're curious about the timeline for Missing Link, it would take place between Union Cross and Dark Road. Now let's put our focus back on the narrator. What I like to call the main voice in this trailer. As Nomura explained, the voice we hear is in fact Brain. Throughout this trailer, he describes Player entering this world, describes the metropolis of Scala, and explains how the story begins, it being of the blank era, one which will be forgotten. You might wonder what he means by blank era or why he thinks it will be forgotten. Let's rewind. Before the Keyblade War, when Daybreak Town was still intact, Ava, one of the foretellers, entrusted Brain with the Book of Prophecies. Eventually, he did explore the book, so him saying this story of blank era being forgotten, it could simply have to do with the knowledge he got from the Book of Prophecies. But wait a minute. If we believe Brain used a lifeboat or ark to end up in this timeline, shouldn't he have no memories? In other words, how would he even remember what was written in the Book of Prophecies? I believe his situation is a bit different, but before I say more, what's a lifeboat or ark again, and why am I using these 2 different terms? Before Union Cross got official English translations, we used to call these pods right here arks. But with the official translated version, they're lifeboats. So, if you don't recall, all of Players' friends used a traveling pod, known as the Lifeboat, let's go with the official translation, to escape the destruction of Daybreak Town. How did Daybreak Town even get destroyed? Well, using lifeboats, you're tampering with the nature of the world to sort of speak. It's what pretty much kickstarted the destruction of Daybreak Town, especially looking at Maleficent. When she opened her heart to darkness in KH1, using Master Xehanort's knowledge of time travel, she tried to rewrite her past by time traveling only to realize it was impossible because she wound up in a Data version of her world. Everything in Data is already written. It can't be overwritten. She later used a lifeboat and traveled to KH2's timeline. But here's the thing. Using a lifeboat strips away one's body and only heart remains. In order for one to get recompleted after using a lifeboat, they need a medium and someone with memories of them. Her cloak or raven could have been the medium and memories could have been the fairies. In Brain's case, his hat, given to him by Sigurd, was most likely the medium. As for the memories, well, we'd like to think Ephemer remembered Brain and that knowledge just circulated within Scala at Kylum. Ephemer did use a lifeboat, but it seems like his malfunctioned. Instead, Ephemer remained behind and founded Scala at Kylum on top of the ruins of Daybreak Town. Under those circumstances, Ephemer most likely had his memories still intact, one of them being memories of Brain. So if we go back to the idea of Brain remembering what was written inside the Book of Prophecies, just how exactly do we explain that? If he used a lifeboat, shouldn't his memories be wiped? Again, him saying this is the start of the story of a blank era, one to be forgotten, makes it sound like he remembers past knowledge. To explain this, we simply revisit Union Cross's finale. In this scene, he still seems to remember his friends escaping. As for how he was able to retain those memories, well, seeing as how Lucio used his body as a vessel, at least it looks like it, we'd like to believe that the process of extracting his heart is what made his situation unique. Usually the lifeboat strips the heart from one's body, but in Brain's case, his heart was most likely extracted by Lucio. Just that different approach made it possible for Brain to keep his memories intact. But hey, in the end, it's just a theory. The Kingdom Hearts series is notorious for having special terms and particular concepts. Be it the Station of Awakening, the Final World, Lifeboat, as we discussed previously, Unreality, among others. Looking at Missing Link, we now have what's called the Astral-Plane. The Astral-Plane is a world which connects existence and non-existence. One thing that could perhaps tie into this new concept is KH4. Back in June 2022, Nomura was interviewed by Game Informer. Not only did he explain that Missing Link would have mysteries from the series in general, but also placed emphasis on KH4. Compared to our past mobile releases, it's a lot closer to the series, and also connected in many ways to Kingdom Hearts 4. The easiest way to get more new information and hints about Kingdom Hearts 4 would be to play Missing Link. He also mentioned how some figures present in this game would have ties to KH4. So we don't know which one exactly, but I'm guessing time will tell. Speaking of KH4, the whole concept of Quadratum could potentially tie in with the Astral-Plane. KH4 trailer described Quadratum as the afterworld. We could perhaps define the afterworld as non-existence. Existence in this case would be the realm of light, where all of our characters except Sora currently reside in. Basic definition of Astral-Plane on Google: a place believed by some people to be where a person's spirit goes between dying and entering the spirit world. This makes me think back to KH3's Remind DLC. Remember when Sora wound up here, in a night version of the final world, stumbling on Yozora? This right here could perhaps be defined as the Astral-Plane, a realm one enters before entering the afterworld. But how do we explain Yozora's presence? Well, applying Chirithy's knowledge of the final world, the edges of sleep and death touch. Seeing as how Yozora was dreaming, aka sleeping, at least from this scene it looks like he was asleep and dreaming, it's possible that's what led him to Sora. As Chirithy mentioned in KH3, one can't help the occasional crossover. As for how Yozora was able to control the environment, it could have to do with the idea of lucid dreaming, a term you've probably heard before. Then there's the term astral projection, the idea of leaving your physical body while asleep. All these things could potentially be part of this new Astral-Plane concept in Missing Link. As for other things, during this trailer there's the mention of societies traveling to the Astral-Plane to defeat Heartless. The word itself at first glance sounds general, right? but do recall Nomura mentioning this exact term during that interview from April 2022, the Famitsu one. Kingdom Hearts Missing Link takes place about 4 generations after Ephemer's time. His descendants have each formed their own societies. The main family who carries his bloodline is the Society of Successors, while the branch family who doesn't is the Society of Non-Successors. If these societies this citizen speaks of are tied to Ephemer's bloodline, then it seems like they're all trying to keep each other from getting their hands on fragments of memories from other worlds. As for how these fragments of memories from future worlds even exist during this time period and Scala remains to be a mystery. It could perhaps have something to do with the Book of Prophecies. The book at least had the ability to conjure future worlds. Brain, if you recall in Union Cross's finale, gave the book to Ephemer, so there you go. The book must have been kept with Ephemer for some time. But hey, I'm going to leave it at that. With that being said, what do you think of Kingdom Hearts Missing Link? If you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to leave it in the comments section below. Like always, a massive thank you to my patrons for supporting the channel on Patreon. It means so much, I appreciate it. And thank you all for tuning in. I have been Vivi, and until next time.